Toronto. Doesn't seem like a bad place to play. It's a nice city. Canada famously has nice people in general. It's the only Canadian team in baseball. So you have a whole country behind you. Rogers Center is pretty cool and has an even cooler updated look. Playoff games there might get the rowdiest crowds in baseball. A lot of legends have played there. They're the only franchise other than the Yankees in the last 45 plus years to win back-to-back World Series. The second one they won was on an iconic walk-off home run by legend Joe Carter. I mean, this seems like a very cool franchise to play for. But if you take a look at how many players have rejected the opportunity to play there over the last few years, you'd think this team was based in Afghanistan or something. I mean, it's been brutal. Blue Jays fans have been teased with the biggest of signings, made fun of. Nobody seemingly wants to take their money. So what the hell is going on? Really quick, as always, if you're part of the 59% of viewers not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button if you enjoy the videos, as the Giants were in the Blue Jays position too over the last few years because of how many big-time free agents they missed out on. They wanted Bryce Harper, didn't get him. They wanted Aaron Judge, got Arson instead. They wanted Shohei Otani and offered him the same contract the Dodgers did, only for him to pick the Dodgers anyway. But recently, they've changed this narrative. They extended Matt Chapman to a long-term deal at the end of this past season, and then signed shortstop Willy Adames to the biggest contract in franchise history. Is he Aaron Judge or Otani level? Of course not. But the tides do seem to be turning a bit in San Fran. But in Toronto, nothing's changed, and it's only turned into more cruel of a joke, if anything. The Jays were never really in on Judge, but were in on Otani, and Blue Jays fans got the most cruel joke ever with him, being told he was on a plane en route to Toronto to sign with them, only for that to be revealed as an Impractical Jokers episode before he soon later signed with the Dodgers. And then this offseason has somehow topped that, and it's been kind of worse, just without the sick pranks. Now, a big thing with the Blue Jays is the spot that they're in as a franchise right now. A few years ago, they looked to be in a great spot. They had all the baby Jays and a seemingly good young core, only for half of that core to be gone now, with the other half still there but with a questionable future in Toronto. Their team just isn't as good and promising. Beyond that, they don't have a great farm system, so it doesn't seem to be like the smartest thing to go out and get the biggest name free agents. That seems more like something for other teams with better looking and built futures to do. So what it seems right now is that the Blue Jays are kind of in a desperate position. They don't have a very confident outlook, but instead of retooling, they want to throw money at big name players to put on a team that probably isn't really ready. And in the case of trying to get those big name guys, it'd be one thing if they weren't willing to go that extra step to get them, but that doesn't seem to be the case, like at all. Money doesn't seem to matter for the Blue Jays. Juan Soto, not only did they want him, but it's been reported they offered up to $760 million for him, which matched the amount the Yankees offered. And yet didn't end up quite as much as the Mets offer, but it still gets to a point where if Soto really felt the Blue Jays were a team he wanted to play for, he would have taken $760 million to do so, but he didn't. And you can't say this is just a Juan Soto thing, because all the other free agent pursuits are ending up the same way. Corbin Burns just got offered more money by the Blue Jays than the Diamondbacks, yet he chose the Diamondbacks. The taxes in Toronto are much worse, which played a big part in that. And speaking of the Canadian taxes, there's even more to that, and maybe yet another reason as to why players aren't so eager to go there. Two former Blue Jays players, Josh Donaldson and Russell Martin, had recently been in a lawsuit against the Canada Revenue Agency over a dispute regarding their additional income while playing for the Jays. The last those two played for the Blue Jays was 2018. It's been 6 years, and they're now just getting done with a lawsuit that involves money from that long ago. It's a lawsuit they won after it was proven that they earned far less in taxable income during their years in Canada than what the federal agency had claimed. Both Donaldson and Martin spent 60% of their time residing in the US and only 40% in Canada in what the CRA, the Canada Revenue Agency, considers duty days, with their taxes split accordingly. But the CRA claimed that their retirement contributions should be deducted ahead of the 60-40 American-Canadian split calculation, which charges them way more for their Canadian portion. But the tax court ruled in favor of the players, who argued the calculation should be made after. So the judge ruled that the CRA's income calculation of the two players was faulty in his decision published last week. So even though they won, it's still annoying that there's faulty issues with the taxes in Canada. And is this the number one reason why free agents aren't signing with Toronto? Of course not. But there seem to be a lot of smaller issues that add up, with this potentially being one of them. And it's not even necessarily an American or foreign thing with players not liking Canada. Russell Martin, one of the guys in that lawsuit, is literally Canadian, born in Toronto and raised in Montreal and Quebec. And another player who recently rejected a contract from the Blue Jays Jays, not only is he also Canadian, but he currently plays for the Blue Jays and has only ever played for the Blue Jays, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He recently turned down an extension worth $340 million, as it apparently wasn't close to what he's looking for. And it does make sense. I mean, Vladdy could very well make north of $400 million in free agency. And who knows, maybe it goes up to $500 depending on just how great he is next year, his last before free agency. But if the Jays were willing to offer Juan Soto a contract pushing $800 million, why not go that extra set for Vladdy, who you already have? And as of now, Vladdy's created a set deadline for extension negotiations, giving the Blue Jays up until the final day of spring training. After that, it's done. He's waiting till free agency. Toronto was a serious option for Teoscar Hernandez, who they had a few years ago for a while, before he ended up back with the Dodgers, which seemed like the most inevitable thing anyway. He preferred them. So all these players choosing other teams over the Blue Jays seems to be reasons that are all over the place. Like, it's not one set thing. But the bottom line all leads back to the ultimate fact that the Blue Jays just aren't the preferred landing spot, no matter what the main reason for that is for that particular player. And you got to also factor in, like I said before, the current state this franchise is in. Why would Juan Soto choose the Blue Jays over the Mets? Why would Teoscar choose the Blue Jays over the Dodgers? The Jays have had two very lackluster seasons in a row now, especially this last one, with a bottom tier farm system not showing too much promise compared to other organizations. I mean, yeah, in theory, anybody would take a ton of money to play in Toronto if they were the only option. But when you're also getting offers from teams with better looking roster situations and better looking futures, better tax options, these guys just aren't going to choose Toronto. And because of all that, the Blue Jays are continuing to be left in the dust in a very bleak state. Maybe things will change, kind of like the Giants situation, but as of right now, there unfortunately doesn't seem to be too much to be excited about if you're a Blue Jays fan. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching.